A $95 J.Crew cashmere sweater used to last 5 years. Now it pills before Thanksgiving. The price went up $40. The silk became polyester. The lining disappeared. But the brand your mother built her entire work wardrobe around? It is the single worst value decline on this entire list. 10 brands that millions of women trusted for decades have quietly become something else. We pulled the SEC filings. We checked the fabric specs. We weighed the garments. Here's what changed. Number 10. J.Crew. For a generation of American women, J.Crew was the brand. The catalog with the beautiful photography, the one you kept on your coffee table. The cashmere that felt like a hug. The pencil skirts that fit like they were made specifically for your body. When Michelle Obama wore J.Crew on national television, it confirmed what millions of women already knew. This brand understood them. Then it stopped understanding. J.Crew filed for Chapter 11 in May 2020 with approximately $1.7 billion in debt. Creative director Jenna Lyons departed in 2017. The fabric tells the real story beneath the headlines. Silk blouses were systematically replaced with polyester, often at comparable or higher prices. Cashmere that once lasted years started pilling after a single season. The tissue weight knit became a signature not of the brand's style, but of its decline. J.Crew still has genuine quality when it chooses to invest. They source Italian chino fabric from Duca Visconti di Modrone, a mill operating since 1838. Their swimwear uses Econol regenerated nylon spun from recycled fishing nets. When J.Crew focuses on the garment instead of the margin, it can still be excellent. Think of the J.Crew blazer from 2004 that still hangs perfectly in your closet, holding its shape after 20 years, versus the one from last year, where buttons came loose after 3 dry cleanings. Hold them side by side, and you will feel the difference before you see it. J.Crew's decline was slow and painful to watch. But this next brand did not need bankruptcy to lose what made it special. It just needed a holding company with a spreadsheet. Number 9. Ann Taylor. Founded in 1954, Ann Taylor was the original professional woman's brand. Fully lined wool trousers, silk blouses with genuine weight, blazers with structure that held their shape across years of boardroom meetings, conference tables, and client dinners. When you bought Ann Taylor, you were buying certainty. The brand went public in 1991, got acquired by Ascena in 2015, went through Chapter 11 in 2020 under over $1 billion in debt, and emerged under Knitwell Group with fewer stores and a smaller footprint. Lined wool pants, once standard in every Ann Taylor store, are now nearly impossible to find. Polyester blouses are priced where silk used to be. One consumer review on Capitol Hill Style captured it in 2 sentences. Her Ann Taylor suit from 2000 was fully lined, well-made, and still in great shape. Her suit from 2013, in her own words, looked like she had driven over it with her car. An Ann Taylor blazer from 2005 weighed roughly 14 ounces. A comparable blazer today weighs closer to 9 ounces. The price went up. The garment lost 5 ounces. That is not evolution. That is margin optimization wearing a blazer. A $120 Ann Taylor blazer that loses its shape after 1 season costs about $40 per month. A $90 quince blazer in comparable wool that lasts 2 years costs under $4 per month. Same mirror, 10 times the real cost. Ann Taylor and Loft both ended up under the same corporate roof. Remember that, it matters later. But first, a brand that your generation may have worn longer than any other on this list. And everything we have covered so far looks mild compared to what happened to it. Number 8. Talbots. If you have shopped at Talbots, you probably remember the first time. The petites that actually fit. The blazers with real weight. The kind of store where the staff knew your name and handed you pieces they had set aside because they knew your size and your taste. For decades, Talbots was where millions of professional women over 40 built their wardrobes. Not flashy, not trendy, just reliably excellent. Then private equity arrived. Sycamore Partners acquired Talbots in 2012 for $391 million. The company had been struggling with declining sales and high debt. Sycamore promised to restore the brand's heritage as a leading retailer of traditional women's apparel. What followed was a familiar pattern. The blazers got lighter, the sweaters started pilling. Cashmere that once lasted through entire administrations now barely survives a season. Customers who had shopped there for 25 years started writing reviews that read like eulogies. Thinner fabrics, inconsistent sizing, items arriving creased and poorly finished. Clothes priced at $90 that belong on a $40 rack. One longtime customer put it simply. The vintage Talbots pieces on Poshmark are now collector's items. That tells you everything about the distance between what this brand was and what it has become. A $90 Talbots cardigan that pills after 12 wears costs $7.50 per wear. A $55 Land's End cardigan in similar cotton that lasts 80 wears costs 69 cents per wear. The Talbots name adds $6.81 to every single time you put it on. Talbots is not the only brand Sycamore Partners owns. Keep that name in your mind. You are going to hear it again before this video is over. Number 7. Banana Republic. There was a time when Banana Republic was one of the most interesting brands in American retail. Founded in 1978 by Mel and Patricia Ziegler, the original concept was a safari-themed catalog with hand-illustrated covers and clothing that told a story. The stores smelled like adventure. The fabrics had real weight. Then Gap Inc. acquired the brand in 1983. The Zieglers departed. The safari disappeared. What replaced it was accessible luxury workwear that, during its better years, delivered genuinely impressive blazers and tailored pants at a mid-tier price. Those years feel distant. Consumer forums tell a consistent story across hundreds of reviews. Sweaters that pill after the first wash. Woven blouses repeatedly described as tissue weight. Blazers sold unlined where full lining was standard 10 years earlier. Paying $70 for a blouse so thin you can read your phone screen through the fabric. That is where the brand sits right now. The sculpted stretch pants line still earns consistent praise. One product line holding up does not redeem a brand, but it proves they know how to make something well when they decide it matters. Banana Republic lost the story it used to tell. This next brand made a real promise to professional women who needed polished workwear on a realistic budget. Then it broke that promise. Number 6. Loft. Launched in 1996 as Ann Taylor's casual sister brand, Loft became a weekday essential for professional women who wanted polished without stuffy. The cardigans were dependable. The ponte pants lasted multiple seasons. The pricing felt honest. Then the corporate machinery took over. Parent company Ascena Retail Group loaded itself with over $1 billion in debt, acquiring Lane Bryant, Catherine's, Ann Taylor, and Loft within 3 years. In July 2020, Ascena filed for Chapter 11. The brands emerged under Knitwell Group. Core Site Research reported that retailers announced 67% more store closures in 2025 compared to the year before. Loft closed locations in Durham, North Carolina, and Whitehall Township, Pennsylvania, in early 2026. Knits that held their shape through 4 seasons now show visible wear after 1. Jersey fabrics feel thinner, with less recovery. Pricing crept upward while the material quality moved the other direction entirely. Pulling on this year's cardigan and realizing it feels like a completely different garment from the one you bought 3 Septembers ago, despite costing $10 more. That is what makes brand decline feel personal. Now, remember the name we asked you to keep in mind? Sycamore Partners. Here is why. 3 of the brands you have already seen on this list are owned by the same company. Ann Taylor, Loft, and Talbots, all under Knitwell Group, a holding company created by private equity firm Sycamore Partners. Combined annual sales across those 3 brands alone exceed $3 billion. In January 2024, Sycamore added Chico's FAS to the portfolio for approximately $1 billion. That brought Chico's, White House Black Market, and Soma under the same roof. Knitwell now generates approximately $6 billion in annual sales across 6 women's fashion brands. This is the playbook. Acquire heritage brands with loyal customer bases. Consolidate operations. Optimize margins. Quietly downgrade fabric weight, swap natural fibers for synthetics, remove lining, raise prices. The customer who has shopped there for 20 years does not leave overnight. She notices her sweater is thinner. She thinks maybe it is just this one. She buys another. It pills too. Eventually, she stops coming. But by then, the margins have already been collected. The Boston Consulting Group found that approximately 80% of discarded clothing ends up in landfills or gets incinerated. The Ethical Trading Initiative reported that 68% of inspected garment factories showed increased stitching error rates in 2024, up from 42% in 2021. This is not a conspiracy. It is a business model. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. 4 more brands to go. These next 4 lost what made them special for very different reasons. If you are finding brands on this list that are hanging in your closet right now, subscribe. Next week, we are testing these same brands for something most fashion channels will not touch. What is actually in the fabric? The lab results were not pretty. Number 5. Victoria's Secret. At its peak, this brand was a cultural institution. Revenue hit approximately $7.8 billion. The angels walking the runway in wings and diamonds. The televised fashion show watched by millions. The pink shopping bags that became a status symbol. Then the cultural landscape shifted, and the brand refused to move with it. The fashion show was canceled in 2019. Revenue declined for 3 consecutive years. The comeback attempt deserves acknowledgement. New CEO Hilary Super, hired from Savage X Fenty, publicly stated that the brand had become watered down. Second quarter 2025 showed net sales rising 3%, the first meaningful growth in years. But the product still carries the scars. Remembering when a Victoria's Secret bra lasted 2 full years of daily rotation, then comparing it to a recent purchase that lost its support before the return window closed. The current bra costs more and lasts less than half as long. Per month of actual use, you are paying roughly 3 times what you paid in 2012 for less support and thinner fabric. Victoria's Secret spent years telling women what to look like instead of listening. This next brand had a different problem. It listened to Wall Street and watched the foundation crack. Number 4. Michael Kors. Founded in 1981, Michael Kors built one of the most recognized accessible luxury brands on the planet. The jet-set lifestyle photographed in golden light, the gold hardware catching the sun. Revenue exploded from roughly $20 million in 2004 to approximately $4.7 billion at its 2016 peak. Then the air came out. Revenue declined roughly 9% annually from that peak. Capri Holdings recorded a $675 million write-down on the brand's value. A proposed $8.5 billion merger with Coach parent Tapestry was blocked on antitrust grounds. The company's own CEO admitted that the brand made self-inflicted missteps, raised prices too quickly while cutting the signature products that justified those prices. In China, 11 premium retail locations closed while 3 outlet stores opened. Meanwhile, Coach grew from $4.96 billion to $5.6 billion in the same time frame. Same market, same customer, opposite trajectory. Buying a Michael Kors bag in 2014 and feeling like you had arrived somewhere. Then seeing the same logo at an outlet mall 3 years later, marked down 70% on a folding table next to the parking lot. That is the moment a brand stops meaning what it used to mean. A $200 Michael Kors bag from 2014 that you carried 4 years cost about $4 per month. The same price tag today on a bag that shows wear after 8 months costs $25 per month. Same logo. 6 times the real cost. Number 3. Gap. Gap defined American casual basics in the 90s. Fall into the Gap was everywhere. Revenue peaked at $16.6 billion in fiscal 2014, then slid to $14.9 billion by 2023. 4 chief executive officers in 5 years. Denim got thinner. Knits lost their shape. Pants lost their lining entirely. Pull a pair of Gap jeans from 2008 out of your closet. The ones you never donated because they still feel solid. Hold them next to a pair from last year. The fabric weight difference is not subtle. It is jarring. Gap never pretended to be premium. A $58 pair of jeans that lasts 2 years costs about $2.40 per month. Reasonable. But it used to last 4 years at a lower price, which put the monthly cost under $1. The math moved in the wrong direction. Number 2. Zara. Inditex reported nearly 36 billion euros in revenue for fiscal 2023. Designed to shelf in 2 weeks, nobody in fashion works faster. But speed creates trade-offs that the pricing does not acknowledge. A documented case on a consumer forum showed Zara selling a blazer labeled light wool that contained 0% wool. Nobody caught it until a customer checked the fine print on the composition label. The quality is inconsistent, rather than universally low. You never know which Zara you are getting until the tag is off. A $90 Zara blazer that falls apart in 3 months costs $30 per month. A $75 blazer from Uniqlo that lasts 18 months costs about $4. Same mirror, very different math. Number 1. H&M, 3 billion garments per year. Revenue hit 223 billion Swedish kroner in fiscal 2023. At that volume, speed demands compromise. Cotton blends that once leaned 70% natural now commonly run 60 to 70% polyester. The designer collaborations occasionally deliver real construction. But the everyday product has drifted so far from where it started that comparing a 2015 H&M knit to a 2026 version feels like comparing 2 completely different brands. The sweater that pilled before you finished unpacking the rest of your shopping bags. You know which one. At least H&M is honest about its price tier. A $12 top that lasts 4 months costs $3 per month. Not great, but not deceptive. Which, given everything else on this list, is almost refreshing. 3 brands worth your attention instead. Number 3. Quince builds its entire model on transparent pricing. Mongolian cashmere, Japanese denim, European linen at a fraction of traditional markup. Their cashmere sweater retails for $49 and uses the same grade of fiber that J.Crew charges $150 for. Start there if you want to feel the difference immediately. Number 2. Land's End still uses heavier fabric weights across core products. Consistent sizing season to season without the quiet shrinkflation. A $65 Land's End blazer that lasts 3 years costs about $1.80 per month. Not trendy. The kind of brand your mother recommended. She was right. Number 1. COS, the premium sibling within the H&M group, offers significantly better fabric and construction than its parent. Compare the label on a COS knit to its H&M equivalent. The difference hits your hands the moment you pick it up. Before you buy from any brand on this list, check 4 things. The fiber content on the label. How the seams are finished inside the garment. The weight of the fabric in your hand. And whether the price reflects the garment or just the logo. That takes 30 seconds and will save you hundreds this year. Here's the math that separates informed shoppers from expensive mistakes. A $150 J.Crew sweater that pills after 15 wears costs $10 per wear. A $49 Quince sweater in the same cashmere that lasts 100 wears costs 49 cents per wear. The J.Crew is 20 times more expensive when you calculate what you actually get. Comment the brand you miss the most from how it used to be. I read every single one. Subscribe. I follow the fabric, not the marketing.